welcome to another video. Today we're going to do a sort of wildflower looking arrangement in this cute little toile basket that I found. It's just a little cardboard basket covered in an antique toile linen, and I just love it. And I thought this container calls for a subtle wildflower looking arrangement instead of something too over the top. Obviously this is not a watertight container, so I have just lined it with a little plastic tray. Now this is just a little plastic tray I recycled. Still has a tag in it that says cauliflower florets. So definitely save those containers that vegetables come in, like mushrooms, because you never know when it'll come in handy. And I just put some fresh water in there with some floral preservative. Today, instead of floral foam, I'm going to be using this chicken wire. Let's get started. The reason I'm going to use chicken wire is a lot of these wildflowers here, especially the mint, are not going to be able to handle floral foam. First of all, the stems are going to be kind of wimpy, so it's going to be hard to poke it into floral foam, and I think it won't last as long if we used floral foam. So I'm going to use this chicken wire. It's just a small piece of chicken wire, about, I would say, 8 by 12 or 13, that I'm going to fold into thirds so that you have some overlap. And then I'm just going to squash it down into this container. Now, wildflowers have been very popular for weddings and in home decor. So I'm going to attempt something in this cute little basket. I'm going to first screen in with this mint. This mint is just growing wild in my creek area. And I just thought it'd be so pretty in a wildflower arrangement to use sort of herbal type of greenery that kind of goes with the whole aesthetic. So I'm just going to poke this in here and there in the netting just to cover the netting a little bit. I'm going to keep this arrangement really low. Whenever I do basket arrangements, I really like to see the handle of the basket. So I kind of envision this arrangement sort of spilling out from the sides, look like a little casual gathering of flowers, like I just came in from the garden with a little basket filled with flowers. So I'm just going to put these in and cover the netting a little bit. The nice thing of using chicken wire is you don't have to cover your mechanics so much because it's very subtle. You don't see it very much. You just see the water. Once you start putting some of the greenery in, you don't see it much anymore. The mint smells really great, and the menthol in it makes your hands feel kind of cool. Yeah, don't plant mint in your garden because it is very invasive. If you want to plant it in a container. This mint is just growing wild in my creek area. So next I'm going to use some of this really pretty green dragon. I think I've shown it in other videos. This is a beautiful filler flower called green dragon. It almost looks like a grass, but I think it's a little easier to work with than grass because it holds up so well. So I'm going to put some of this on the perimeters. And I'm going to put this in kind of in a horizontal way because once again, I want it to look like things are spilling out of the basket. And I want to keep the center of the basket, the arrangements low. So I've cut these into short pieces, and I'm just going to lay it in here amongst the mint. Kind of a horizontal fashion. I'm going to cut some shorter pieces to put towards the middle of the basket. So this will make it a loose and airy arrangement. Sort of like Queen Anne's lace. It has that feeling, but since this basket is so small, I think Queen Anne's lace would be too big floral material for this because it'll take up like a third of the basket. Now, you all know that I grow a lot of roses, a lot of David Austin roses in my garden. I'm just starting to grow filler flowers from seed. So I will show you some of the things I'm growing. Now, even though we want to keep this wispy and airy, we need to put some flowers in that give it some focal interest. This is the beautiful little spray rose that I grow around a fountain called Alba Maitland. I love it because the flowers are small, the stems are kind of short. It's a ground cover rose or a landscape rose, but they're fully ruffled and quartered in an old-fashioned rose look. I'm not going to use a lot of it because I want to keep this arrangement light. It's kind of hard for me to overfill my arrangement, so this is a challenge for me to do something a little subtler. As you know, I like to have very full, lush arrangements with lots and lots of big, open roses, kind of like the big hair version of floral design. So I'm going to go a little subtler on this one. Just a little here and there. And then this I thought would be really pretty because it almost doesn't look like a rose. This is this little peach Polyanthus rose that almost looks like a butterfly ranunculus, and I thought would be really beautiful in this arrangement. This rose is a Polyanthus called At Last. And I love this apricot, peachy apricot color. Now, one thing when you use chicken wire, unlike foam, once you put the stems in, it's kind of hard to pull it out because it'll get stuck sometimes on the wire. I guess that's the whole point, right? You don't want to be able to pull it out. But you got to be pretty sure about your placement because it's kind of difficult to pull it out after. Okay, just have some cascading down here. Have one more stem of this. See how it's kind of casual and relaxed, kind of not quite a single bloom, but it's not, doesn't have a lot of petals. It really reminds me of butterfly ranunculus. Now, this is a little filler flower I've been growing from seed called Orlea. I adore this flower. It is the perfect shape and size for a lot of arrangements, goes beautifully with the garden roses. It's like a Queen Anne's lace, but the flowers are more substantive but smaller, so it's easier to use. And it lasts a long, long time in the vase, and it's very easy to grow. So I've been growing this from seed. I don't have a big show of this yet, but I'm hoping it'll self-sow, and next year I'll have even more. This has that beautiful wildflower look that I'm going for. Kind of relaxed and casual and wispy. And this can stick up a little bit from the arrangement because it's so light and airy. I wanted it to kind of poke out a little bit. Isn't that beautiful? Lacy and sweet. It has a foliage almost like parsley, and the flowers are just gorgeous. See, with all these wildflowers, I'm glad I'm not using floral foam. I think it would be difficult to poke into the foam with these delicate stems. Let me turn this around and see how it looks from this side. You can see how it looks from that side. Might want to add a little more of that green dragon on this side to kind of cascade out. Let me see. So I do like using the chicken wire for a lot of home arrangements because it's a lot less expensive than floral foam. You know, once you put the chicken wire in your container, you can reuse it over and over again, whereas floral foam, you have to have new foam each time. I also have some of this pretty lavender scabiosa that I'm growing. I only have a little bit of it. I'm looking for white scabiosa to grow. I haven't been able to find it as a plant, but they do have them in seed. So I'm going to put a little bit of this pretty lavender in here. I think that it would be a nice contrast to the apricot color. And it also has that wildflower look. And we can just let it kind of float above the arrangement. And last, I'm going to add this really pretty kind of trailing viney lavender flower. This is called lantana. In California here, you see it growing everywhere. In the parking lot of Safeway, everywhere. It can take the drought and the heat. It's a tough little plant, but when you cut it individually, cut these stems and you put it in arrangement, you see how pretty it is cascading out of the basket, that little frilly bit of lavender flower. The lantana come in every color. Yellows, oranges, reds, this lavender, white. And I never thought about using this in arrangements before, but it holds up really well, and it gives me that perfect wispiness I wanted to use for this arrangement. I'm primarily putting it around the perimeters here because I wanted to kind of cascade out of the basket. I'm going to turn it around, see if I need to add some on this side. I really want you to be inspired to go look in your garden to see what you can use, because even sometimes, you know, these landscape plants that you don't think of as a cut flower can be beautiful in arrangement if it's used in the right way. And this kind of repeats the lavender of the scabiosa, so I think it's very pretty, very effective. I wonder if I need a little bit of mint here. I think this is a spearmint. I'm not sure. I know it's not peppermint because peppermint looks different than this. A lot of requests from clients for wildflower look weddings. Now the mint, when I first picked it, wilted instantly. So I put it in a glass of water and put it in the refrigerator for half an hour, and it perked up immediately. So definitely harvest your mint in the cooler part of the day, but if it does wilt, you can put it in the fridge and it'll perk right back up. A little bit more of this Orlea. And then I still have some of this pretty hellebore. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it. I'll cut a piece and put it in, see if it looks nice with all the wildflowers. Just looking for small flowers that have interesting texture. Oh, that is really pretty in there. So I am going to add the hellebore. When you cut hellebore, you want to cut the hellebore when the seed pods are visible in the middle of the floret. These are actually sepals. But when you cut the hellebore early in the season and the stamens are visible, they don't last, they'll wilt. But once they've hardened off and you can see the seed pod in here, they'll last a very long time as a cut flower. I hope this arrangement shows, the beauty of this arrangement shows through in the video because it's very subtle. I wish you were here to see it in person because it really is quite charming. Now this would be beautiful as a gift, be beautiful on your kitchen table, depending on the decor in your house. It might be nice even in your living space. But this would be, I think this would be a very pretty kitchen arrangement. You know what? I'm going to stop because I could just see myself adding more and more roses until it's another one of those arrangements that's filled with roses. So I have to stop. And here we have it, a sweet little arrangement in a toile linen basket of wildflower looking flowers picked from the garden.